Hey everyone, welcome to r/Am I the Jerk. In this episode, OP's decision to lend a helping hand to a friend in need leads to more than just his trust being broken. I, a 25-year-old man, am in a serious bind and could use some advice right now. A few months ago, my friend Dan hit a rough patch, lost his job, and his girlfriend kicked him out. We've been close for years, so I didn't hesitate when he asked if he could crash on my couch until he got back on his feet. Dan moved in, and at first things were okay. He was actively looking for work and helping out around the apartment. I was covering most of the bills, but I figured that's what friends do when one is down. I didn't expect anything in return, just that he'd get on his feet and pay me back in other ways, like covering groceries or taking me out once he got a job. But then things started to go south. Dan became more comfortable, and by that, I mean he stopped trying to find work. He'd spend all day on the couch playing video games, and anytime I asked him how the job search was going, he'd brush me off with, "I've got some leads," or "I'm waiting to hear back." Meanwhile, I'm covering rent, utilities, food, everything. The breaking point came last weekend. I had to work late, so I left my car keys on the kitchen counter. Dan doesn't have a car, and I made it clear when he moved in that he couldn't use mine. But when I got home that night, my car was gone. I called Dan, and he casually told me he'd taken it out to grab some drinks with friends. I was furious, but it got worse when he came back. My car was trashed, scratches along the side, a dent in the front bumper, and it reeked of cigarettes, which I don't even smoke. When I confronted Dan, he shrugged it off like it was no big deal. He said his friend knows a guy who can fix it for cheap and that I shouldn't worry. But when I asked him to pay for the damages, he flat out refused, saying he didn't have any money and that I was overreacting. I was livid. This wasn't some minor scratch. It was going to cost me a couple of grand to fix everything. So I told him to get out. I didn't care where he went or what he did, but I couldn't keep supporting him when he was treating me and my stuff like garbage. Dan flipped out, saying I was abandoning him when he needed me the most. He called me selfish, said I was letting money come between our friendship, and even accused me of never really caring about him. Our mutual friends are split. Some think I did the right thing by kicking him out, saying he was taking advantage of me. Others think I overreacted and should have given him more time to sort things out, and especially since he didn't have anywhere else to go. Now I'm questioning if I was too harsh. Am I the jerk for kicking him out after he wrecked my car and refused to pay for it? Okay, so normally that would be the end of the story. But after making his initial post, the OP comes back to address a few things after reading some of the comments. He goes on to say that, to clarify, I'm not just angry about the car, it's about the principle. Dan was living here rent-free, eating my food, using my stuff, and then wrecked my car without even asking. The car is my main way of getting to work, so it's not just a small inconvenience. I could have lost my job if I didn't have it to get around. And after reading some of the comments, I am starting to think about pressing charges on stealing the car. Not for the money, but so that he knows it's wrong and unacceptable. He also adds, since a lot of people are asking about pressing charges to get insurance money, I am not financially struggling, so fixing the car won't be a problem. But the main reason I am going to press charges is that he messed with me. So I'm going to mess with him so that he knows he won't always get away with it. You know, it's amazing how some people either don't realize or don't care when they're inconveniencing others, but the moment they think they're the ones being inconvenienced, then there's suddenly a problem. Dan got to live in OP's apartment for free. He didn't have to worry about paying for food or anything, let alone whether he'd have a roof over his head. The OP went above and beyond for Dan, a person he's been close to for years. Yet to Dan, none of that matters anymore, because to him, the OP is now considered a bad friend for kicking him out. OP, I'm siding with the people who thought you weren't in the wrong for feeling the way you did and giving you a 3 on the AITA scale. But you might be wondering why it's that high on the scale. Well, it came from the concern I had when you wanted to press a serious charge on your friend while claiming to be financially secure. Through that, you hoped to teach him a lesson. However, it also sounded like you sought to have some type of revenge on Dan. While understandable, such a charge could ruin Dan's life forever. And to me, that's much worse than being taken advantage of for only a few months. I'm 53 and my husband, who is 56, have been married for 22 years. When we first started our relationship, he didn't have a solid job and had just immigrated from Poland, and I had a well-paying job and was doing well with my life. We never went on vacation or celebrated birthdays, but we were happy together. This is until a year ago when his parents came to visit. I have met my in-laws before, and they treated me well, bringing me and my children gifts. But this time they stayed for way too long and didn't give me good gifts, just a cheap dress, and they took a lot of jewelry with them. I felt betrayed because I have been talking with my in-laws and have been friendly with them for 4 years before the second trip. And even now, a year later, I am hurt. I think my husband should have made sure that they had a proper gift for me. This has greatly impacted our relationship. and has gotten to a point where every time I get upset, I start bringing this situation up to my husband for not doing what he should have when they came over, saying that I want to move out because his face reminds me of what happened. I don't even realize I'm saying this, but I do realize that I'm still so hurt by it. I did this 2 days ago and tried to apologize 3 hours later, and he didn't accept it, saying that I can move out, or he will, along with the general, leave me alone, which surprised me. I have been thinking about this, and now I realize that there was nothing really holding the marriage together, since we never went on vacation or bought birthday gifts, and the only thing he does is make money and pay for my children's college, since I haven't worked in 19 years. I feel like I'm having to restart my life because of this after providing for the family, and now I am upset with him because he should hear me talk about things that are upsetting me however much I want to, because he should have fixed this situation in the first place. Am I the jerk for being this upset and not forgiving him? Oh boy, where do I even start? On one hand, it feels like there's a lot of details missing from this story. For one thing, how did OP go from working a well-paying job in the beginning to not working for 19 years? Also, why didn't OP and her husband celebrate each other's birthday or go on vacation? Each couple has their reasons, regardless of whether they do those things or not. But at first, OP was fine with not getting gifts on her birthday or going on vacation, so what changed? Or was this something that secretly bothered her and or her husband, but neither of them tried to talk to the other about it? Guys, I gotta tell you that even after rereading this story a handful of times, I'm still left with way too many questions. But even so, we gotta keep it moving. Otherwise, I'll be here all day asking questions. And after thinking things over, I decided to do something a little different and give this story an overall rating of ESH, or everyone sucks here. First, there's the OP, who left a lot of details out, which makes it look like she overreacted and gets her feelings easily hurt. How she can let a supposedly cheap dress that she got from her in-laws upset her so much that it's negatively impacting her marriage a year later, to this extent sounds crazy to me. Then there's her husband, who I think is one of the biggest variables here along with OP. She didn't go into any detail about what it's like being married to her husband, other than briefly saying they've been happy together until now. So, there's no way to know how big of a role he's played in the events leading up until his parents' visit. And speaking of his parents, while I do think they're mostly innocent, they are also somewhat at fault for what's happened too. I was curious about whether Poland had any traditions related to giving someone gifts, so I did some digging. What I found out was that in Poland it's considered a custom to bring things like flowers, alcohol, sweets, etc., depending on who the recipient is when visiting someone. There's more to it than that, but if I'm understanding things right, then it's considered normal for guests to bring somewhat pricey gifts over, which would mean OP might not have been entirely in the wrong for feeling the way she did about the dress. But that's only if the dress was actually on the cheaper side and not something she considered cheap because she expected a more expensive gift. However, that still doesn't excuse the way she's been acting towards her husband, especially not when it's been an entire year since her in-laws visited and is a constant source of friction between her and her husband. Yet OP refuses to move on from what happened, and as a result, things have gotten to the point where her husband is understandably fed up. Anyways, what do you guys think about this? Is OP blowing things out of proportion, or is she right to be upset? Let me know in the comments. I, a 26-year-old woman, am a bridesmaid for my college friend Lily. She wasn't really involved in planning the wedding, leaving it to her maid of honor, Anna, apart from choosing the venue and dress. Anna picked a local makeup artist, and she experienced doing the look that Lily and Anna had decided on. I first met her at the rehearsal dinner, and she did Lily's and all the bridesmaids' makeup. The makeup had lasted for most people. However, on me, it looked awful by the end of the night. The foundation had separated in places, and it highlighted my texture. When she came around to do the makeup for the wedding, I asked her if she would mind me doing my skin prep before she puts the makeup on, and she said she did her own skin prep and she didn't want to deviate from the look Anna asked her to recreate. I mentioned how my makeup had looked at the end of the rehearsal and that I could do my own makeup instead, and she told Anna. I repeated the same information to Anna and said that I wouldn't mind doing my own makeup, but Anna insisted that the makeup looks for us should be cohesive and just work with the makeup artist. Anna was quite busy, so I left her alone. When it came to my turn for the makeup, the skin prep she was talking about was a makeup wipe and a facial mist. I asked her if I could use my moisturizer, and she said no. It might not work with the foundation she was using on us. And when I said she could use my foundation, she said no. It was her professional reputation on the line, so she felt more comfortable using her products. We were just going around in circles, and she wasn't compromising on anything. One of the other bridesmaids came in, and when I explained the situation to her, the makeup artist got pissed and walked off because she felt I was now ganging up on her. She had done everyone's makeup except mine and Anna's at this point. point, and Anna called me difficult, and I told her I had tried my best to work with the makeup artist, and the other bridesmaid backed me up. Anna got upset as we were in a foreign place where she knew no one last minute to help with hair, as the makeup artist had left, and Anna and me didn't have our makeup done. Some of the other bridesmaids tried to placate the makeup artist, and we found out later she had just left. We all did our own hair, and one of the other bridesmaids did Anna's makeup. Anna didn't talk to me for the rest of the day, and has sent me a text requesting me to cover some of the cost with the makeup artist, as she is still charging for transport and the hourly rate of the work she did do on the day. Lily is on her honeymoon, so I don't want to bother her with this, but I genuinely don't believe I should be responsible for the makeup costs. I feel awful about what happened on the day she walked out, and I gave countless apologies, but I tried to stand my ground about the makeup, and now I'm getting called difficult. Oh boy. Talk about a tricky situation. The makeup artist's behavior was extremely unprofessional, and Anna enabling the behavior, even unintentionally, doesn't help. With that being said, I kind of feel like there's some missing context here. So, I read some of the comments and saw that a few people suspected the makeup artist was Anna's friend. If that's true, then it would explain why Anna was so insistent on getting OP to compromise with the makeup artist. As for the OP, I'm giving her a 1 on the AITA scale. While OP did the best she could to deal with the situation, I can't shake the feeling there's more to this story. On the other hand, the makeup artist gets a 4 because of how poorly she handled the matter between her and OP. The makeup artist, despite claiming her professional reputation was on the line, was far from being anything close to professional given how stubborn and inflexible she was being. However, I do think the makeup artist should still be paid either by Anna or the bride for the work she did do before she stormed off. I have a sister that's 6 years older than me. My parents for years cancel on me last minute because of my sister. I have a basketball game. Oops, sorry, sister doesn't feel like going out. I am graduating. Oops, sorry, sister had a bad day at work. They have missed both major and smaller events in my life because of her meltdown. I met the love of my life. We decided to tie the knot. From the beginning, I told my parents how I am worried my sister will ruin another special moment in my life. My mom told me over and over again it would not happen. The day of my wedding, I received a voicemail from my mom saying they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick and she was upset. I was hurt. My best man, however, is a jokester. He took my phone, then went to my fiance and asked if he could post a video of our wedding as a gift on social media. She loved his idea. I had no idea about it until I came home. Our honeymoon was at a lakeside cabin, no cell service. The post caption was, "My best friend. He is an amazing person, even if his parents never showed up for him." Video was still pictures of us next to her parents, me on the dance floor, cutting the cake, where you would normally see both parents in wedding pictures. The sound behind the video was my mom's voicemail, explaining how they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick. I came home a week later to hundreds of messages. Family members from both sides insisting I take it down. I was told my sister hasn't stopped crying. My mom is refusing to leave the house. I may be the A here. I didn't take it down when I got my messages. I didn't call my family back right away. I waited until my vacation time was over at work and enjoyed my time with my wife in our new home before I contacted anyone. My dad told me to take down the video. It was just a bad night for them, that they will make it up to me and my wife for not coming. My reply was exactly, how do you plan to make up my wedding? You choose to ignore my feeling on the whole matter. Then he just repeated, he will make it up to me. I told him I would take down the video only when he made up missing my wedding. Flustered, we both hung up the phone before we both said things we shouldn't have. Am I the jerk here? I could have just taken down the video. Man, for both of OP's parents to think it's okay not to go to his wedding because his older sister's dog was sick is crazy. Did anybody else notice how the dog conveniently wasn't feeling well on OP's wedding day? It makes me wonder whether or not that was actually the truth. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love dogs, but OP has mentioned his sister is incredibly spoiled and used to getting her way. Plus, there was always something going on with his sister whenever there was an important event in OP's life. With how blatantly OP's parents favor his sister, why on earth they decided to have another child is beyond me. OP, you're not the jerk, and get a 0 on the AITA scale. Your parents chose to enable your sister's spoiled behavior, and now the three of them are simply paying the price for that. And that, folks, wraps up this episode of r/Am I the Jerk. If you liked this video, then click on this next video for more unbelievable stories like this one.